Cheers to 2024, everyone, and Happy New Year. From what I've seen on social media and in my own personal experience, 2023 is not going to be missed. It had its ups and it had its downs, but it's the past, and I wanted to take this opportunity to go over some of the big invasive species events that happened over the 2023 year. To start us off, the USDA Forest Service invested $18 million into around 60 projects that would concentrate efforts and address the spread and damages caused by invasive species. Such projects included invasive grass and weed management and treatment plans, invasive fish, bullfrog, and crayfish removals, woody invasive removals, and invasive species education programs all throughout the country. The Wyoming Game and Fish Department inspected more than 73,000 boats and other watercrafts all across the state, protecting the state's waters from the spread of invasive aquatic plants and animals. Of those 73,000 watercrafts, they decontaminated 1,154 of them, and of those, 64 contained invasive mussels. All of these numbers are the highest since the AIS was established in 2010. So far, the state has kept the upper hand on 3 very invasive aquatic species: zebra mussels, quagga mussels, and Asian carp. If you would like to learn more about the Asian carp issue, I have several videos on that I will link in the description. The state samples 20 waters twice a year and 50 waterways once a year. In one of those samples, New Zealand mud snails, another invasive aquatic species, was found for the first time in the Laramie region. Any watercraft entering the state from March 1st to November 30th is subjected to a mandatory inspection. Hydrilla, which is considered one of the most invasive aquatic plants in the world, was first found in Michigan this year in 2023. The plant was found in 2 private ponds on residential properties in Berrien Springs. This plant is so successful in invading new areas because it has several ways of reproducing. New buds and tubers and even broken fragments can even start new plants, including the seeds. So when boats drive over big mats of this plant and the prop shreds and spreads these plants, each one of those little fragments has potential of growing into a new plant. It isn't entirely clear how the plant was introduced into the state, but a likely way is that there might have been a seed or a fragment on an ornamental plant that was planted in these ponds. This plant was introduced in the wild in Florida in the 1950s and was brought over in the aquarium trade. This prolific plant can change water flows of a waterway and can clog water intakes and can even damage dams. And, of course, it can outcompete our native submerged plants. Hawaii is a tropical paradise, but in August, the state of Hawaii was ravished by wildfires. Fires that claimed the lives of 97 people and burned close to 20,000 acres. A tragedy, of course, but how is this related to invasive species? Well, of the close to 1,300 non-native vascular plants in the state, 18 of those are grasses. Grasses are fire accelerants. Invasive grasses like buffalo grass, molasses grass, and guinea grass are no exceptions, especially guinea grass, which can grow 6 inches in one day and can reach a max height of 10 feet. That's a lot of fuel, and invasive grasses and shrubs now cover over 25% of Hawaii's area. Traveling to New Hampshire, a new microscopic invasive species was found at the bottom of Lake Winnipesaukee? Sorry if I said that wrong. The spiny water flea is an aquatic microscopic animal that can outcompete our native zooplankton, which of course is the foundation of all aquatic ecosystems. First discovered in the 80s in Lake Huron, these tiny creatures can disrupt entire populations of fish. They not only outcompete our native zooplankton species, but also prey on them. and their long spiny tails make it difficult for fish species to consume them like they would our native zooplankton species. In some lakes, they have depleted native zooplankton populations, which has had significant impacts on the fish. And no fish means no fishermen, which has a huge economic impact as well. Plus, their spiny tails can get tangled into a fisherman's line and clog up their rod. Even one of the most protected water bodies isn't safe. Lake Tahoe hasn't seen a new invasive species in 15 years, until 2023. New Zealand mud snails were reported on the underside of some aquatic plants by some divers that were studying another invasive species. These tiny asexual live-bearing snails can live out of water for up to 24 hours and even up to 50 days with minimal moisture. They can easily attach to anything, which can be a vector of introduction. Fishing nets, waders, pool noodles, boats, kayaks, sandals, you name it, these tiny snails can attach to it. Just like the spiny water flea, New Zealand mud snails can outcompete our native invertebrates for food and space, displacing their populations and affecting the entire food web. They can even survive the digestive tract of fish. In 1984, the 1st Beagle Brigade, probably the most adorable federal agents alive, made their debut. These Department of Agriculture agents were assigned to Los Angeles International Airport and have since been sniffing out both plant and animal products in people's luggage. Products such as prohibited fruits, vegetables, plants, snails, snakes, and so many more. In 2023, Special Agent Weston was on duty and hit on what seemed to be a harmless apple from someone's luggage from India. But it was what was on that apple, an oriental fruit fly larva that could have been a huge problem. These fruit flies are known to be a pest for over 230 crops, including citrus, berries, nuts, and so many more. And if they got introduced into California, they could wreak havoc on the agricultural industry. So far, Hawaii is the only state that has reported this species to be a problem, and thanks to agents like Weston, we've kept it that way. These are just a few of the highlights of 2023 regarding invasive species. There were so many more I could have covered. If you would like to learn more about the invasive species issue around our country, and to learn how you can support your local businesses, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And always remember, drink local and plant native.